This is Luke 8:17. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known or come abroad. Take heed therefore how ye hear, for whosoever has, to him shall be given, and whosoever has not, from him shall be taken away. I mean, Salaki shall be taken even that which he seemeth to have. I'd like to start off by saying, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Kor Halor and La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bahakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles, great millstone who do well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that's scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwaf that's listening in. Yahweh Rakazah, Lord willing, that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab on Juan back at you with another lesson. We're going into the title, all right? More about these devils and why, all right? And going into, concerning this war, all right? Which, brother's been going at it all day. I did a couple of videos yesterday based on, different angles of why these devils is pretty much attacking, Israel. Iran, why Israel and United States is attacking Iran. All right. But I ran across a couple more videos, all right, based on information of why they're doing this, all right, which I thought it were very interesting. So pretty much I'll share them with you. All right. Let me grab this first video. They're a little long, like 15. I think one is like 12, 13 minutes long, and the other one's about the same. All right, but it's still interesting, Salakia, to hear these things because, like I said, these devils is being exposed on a high level. All right, what's happening behind closed doors? The things, that the people here in America don't understand, that they can't see, all right, which we understand what's going on regardless, because it's at the end of the day, regardless of these things are true or not that are being said, all right, this is Bible prophecy that's happening at the end of the day. Whether, like I said, whether it's real or fake, all right, it don't matter, all right, because it's still Bible prophecy that's playing out through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, okay? So let's just say some of these things, because one of the videos I'm about to bring out, they were claiming that they're out there, the United States is out there bombing a bunch of empty ass places, all right, which it could be very so, all right, but whether they bombing stuff or not, all right, is to lead to the prophecy of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, all right, it's still going to bring, this World War III into play. Okay, because that's written, all right, as the scriptures tell you. I'll start off. I already started off with a precept, but let me grab this precept. All right, this is 11, Revelations 11 and 14. It says, the second woe was past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Okay, and woes go into destruction. All right, terrors basically. All right, and the woes also go into world wars. So it says the second woe is past. So the second world war has already passed. We already had the first world war pass, all right, which it tells you that in Revelations, the 9th chapter. Okay, and then it says the first woe is past, all right, and then there come two more woes hereafter. All right, now it says the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So, hey, we're in the middle of World War III now, okay, and it's coming quickly, real quick, and it's approaching faster than we expect. All right. Why? Because the Lord is shortening the days, all right, for the elect's sake. All right. So everything around us, all right, is happening fast. And people, are wondering why time is flying so fast. Why by the time they look up, all right, it's already, Sunday, okay, back into Monday. All right. And then it's just these months and these weeks, by the time you look, it's already the next month. All right, look, we're already in the third month of March, okay, and the year just started. And look how much drama has been brought out, all right, within these last 2 months that just passed, okay, and look how we're starting off this new month, okay, with a bang, all right, and now we're getting closer to the Pesach, all right, which is on April 1st, okay. So, always around that time, things get heated up. All right. A lot of people fall out this truth. A lot of things around the world get intensified. Okay. And that's what's happening right now. The Lord is showing you through the spirit that things are about to intensify. Okay. Judgment is about to intensify. Okay. So let's go to this first video real quick. I think I ended up saving it. The one I did. If I didn't, I still got the other two that I wanted to really mainly bring out. All right. Because I've just been looking at videos all day long. So they pass right by real quick. Yep.
I thought Iran and Israel are at war. I see fucking campfires and the odd plume of smoke. This is bullshit. This is a play. None of this is real. Dubai is still safe. Tel Aviv is still safe. Tehran is still safe. Inside of Tehran, they are reorganizing politically. America is doing its very best to put on a play to the outside world. A deal has been done. Everyone has agreed to do certain things so that everybody can save face and everybody is happy with the end result, just like last time. So Iran is striking a whole bunch of empty American military bases with no one on them. A couple of missiles get shot down and those interceptors cause fires inside of Dubai. Yes, it's true. That is happening. A couple of stupid buildings on the outskirts of Tehran and the outskirts of Tel Aviv are going to get set on fire. And in 2 days from now, Emirates Airlines is going to be flying people first class to Five Palm to party next to a pool just like before. And if you think this is a real war, you don't understand how the world works. I thought Iran and Israel are at war. I see. And in 2 days from now, Emirates Airlines is going to be flying.
So, going into what he basically said, all right, regardless if it's real or not, all right, it's still going to lead up to a true World War III, all right? And I believe more, all right, that the U.S. is bombing places that, don't really mean anything, okay? Now, as far as Iran smacking this place, all right, now I believe that Iran definitely doing damage, all right, because at the end of the day, that's Bible prophecy, okay? So the nations are mad for sure with America, okay? There's just too much going on with America trying to, bully everybody, trying to take over the Western Hemisphere, trying to take over the resources of the world, all right? So that, I believe, where Iran is, making his attacks, they're definitely knocking a couple of places out, okay? Now, he did say that Iran is hitting a bunch of places that are empty, okay? We don't know about that, all right, because we're not the ones that's actually there in war. And the world we know as, from past history is a stage. A lot of things are staged, man, okay? And it could be very well just to, bring down these economies, all right? Because a lot of these nations, even though we're battling against each other, all right, the top elites of these different countries, okay, they are in cahoots with each other to bring in a certain agenda, because this whole entire RFID that's going to be presented before the world, this mark of the beast, all right, is going to be a worldwide thing, all right? So somewhere down the line, all these top elites for all these nations have to come to an agreement based on that, okay? And that's the part where, sometimes it can get a little tricky, all right? That's why we continually watch through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, all right, to see if, if the shit is real or not, okay? Because we know that the elites of the world, but the top one being Esau Edom, all right, they're trying to bring in an actual, agenda of getting this whole entire world into a one world government, you see, a one world society, okay? This snare that's about to be coming up upon the world, all right, is going to be, a global thing, okay? It's not just going to be, here in America, okay? So at the end of the day, what he's saying, hey, it could be true. A lot of this shit is, fake, You know, they could be actually into an agreement and a certain type of deal, all right, to you know, stage shit. But at the end of the day, that's going, if it is, it's going to be going from being staged, so it's going to turn into an actual reality, okay? Because the one thing that Esau does is he goes against his deals. You know, he's a covenant breaker. This nigga will make a peace deal with you, and he'll somehow, some way, you know, try to cross the line on that. Okay, he's not one that's, you know, could stand on his ground on a peace deal too long. All right, and the scriptures say, when they say shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon you. Okay, so you know, that's just something that I ran across on this video, something that I just wanted to bring to the attention. Again, this is why we constantly are watchmen, and we just watch to see how everything's play out. All right, because like I read in the beginning, everything that's secret is going to be made manifest. So if it's fake, it'll come to the light that it's fake at one point. There'll be enough evidence for us to be like, yeah, they've been tripping, you know. But there is a lot going on right now with war, and it's been going on, you know, wars and rumors of wars, right? Nation standing up against nation, okay, because that is Bible prophecy at the end of the day, right? So now let's grab this, all right? This video was sent to me by a brother. It says why Trump and Israel really bombed Iran, all right? And let's hear this out. This one's about, I think, 12 minutes long.
War on Iran has officially begun. US President Donald Trump just bombed Iran on behalf of Israel. Make America great again actually means make the Middle East greater Israel. The President of the United States is captured by Israel, compromised by an Israeli compromat building project by Jeffrey Epstein. What exactly does Israel have on the US President Donald Trump? Are you really willing to die for the pedophile president captured by Epstein's Israel? If you think that Iraq was a tough war for US soldiers to handle, coming home in coffins draped in US flags, then Iran is a whole different kettle of fish. It is 3 times the size of Iraq and has a military which has been preparing for this moment for 5 decades. This war will not benefit the US in any way, shape, or form. Not only will it lead to greater authoritarianism at home, but it will lead to the US throwing everything it can into not only resources directed towards the military, but humans directed towards the US military. US veterans have a far higher rate of suicide than other members of the society. More US soldiers were killed by suicide in Vietnam than killed by the war itself. This war is in no one's interest but a wafer-thin section of the billionaire tax haven Epstein class. The idea being bandied about.
You see, that's why I brought out that video that we just had. All right, and it's crazy because this whole video is 144. It's 14 minutes and 40 seconds long. All right, so that's why I brought that out in the beginning, because of what's going on with these Epstein files and shit like that. A lot is, you know, being staged to get your mind off of things, man. Remember, there's a lot of psyops going on right now. This is a time of psyops and red flags, all right? And there's a lot of red flags being thrown up in the air, okay, to get your mind off what's really going on behind closed doors, okay? So, you know, I said that in one of the last videos I did, you know, how they have a lot of evidence on these Epstein files, man. And that's how they can have, especially Israel, could control America, okay? Because they'll blackmail America. All right, well, nigga, you don't want to do what we tell you to do, okay? Then we'll expose you. They'll allow these things to be exposed. See, right now they're exposing them, all right? But they're only exposing a certain amount of detail, okay? What needs to have the minds of the people entertained and intrigued into it, you see? But you're still trying to figure out the pieces to the puzzle, because you're like, all right, well, this is being seen. What about this? What about that? See, that's where the whole psyops comes into, because now you got your mind on what's going on, and a lot of things behind closed doors are being, you know, accomplished, you know, are being set up even more and more. Okay, so let's continue on.
Is that somehow Iran would target Europe with a nuclear weapon. Iran has shown
And what he said earlier was another thing that was interesting. All right, where they're trying to make Israel greater. All right, because if you realize, all right, Israel's this little spot over there, right? But they've been trying to take over that Levant area for a long ass time. Okay, and that whole area right there, if they could control that whole area, that becomes a bigger portion of the land, all right, for the United States and for Israel to take over. Okay, but the thing is that, you know, through Bible prophecy, all right, in the fullness of this devil's sufficiency, all right, whether it be United States or Israel, whatever, you know, they're both in cahoots with each other. They both, you know, straight Amalek. They both, you know, they straight Esau. All right. So, in the fullness of their sufficiency of whatever their agenda is that they're trying to take over the world and how, okay, the Lord's going to stop all of that anyway. Okay. Because he's going to put the spirit on these other nations to turn against them regardless. Okay. There's already nations that's against them. You know, Russia, you got China. Okay. Iran. See, they're not allies with them. All right. They already have beef. All right. They all think that they're going to be next in power. Okay, but now we're getting to the point where, you know, we're at the toes, right? In the statue of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, and there's a lot of division being made right now because this devil's trying to take over the Western hemisphere, and then he's trying to take over key points and key assets in the on the eastern side. You see, and then by him being able to take over those key points, all right, he can rule on that side to a certain degree. You see. And that's where, even if they were doing stages, all right, this devil's still trying to creep his way in to control that area, you know, control that side of the world, basically. Okay. And that's where you have these other nations starting to stand up. And, you know, as the scriptures tell you in Joel, the 3rd chapter, all right, proclaim ye this against the upon the Gentiles. All right. Let the weak say I am strong. Now they're standing up against it. OK. And now you see the allies of America that they're starting to realize that they're being dragged into a war also. OK. And they don't want no war. They don't want to be putting themselves in that predicament because, you know, at the end of the day, Esau always trying to drag somebody into something, man, that they don't need to be involved with. OK, just like America don't ever need to be involved with half of these wars that they start. And when you really look, they're always trying to take over someone that's not with their agenda. You see, so you'll see that through the pattern of the years, like when we was fighting against Iraq was not it was not with the agenda of America. They were totally against it. They were contrary to them. So this is why you pretty much had them going after them in those times. Okay, and basically waging war against them because they basically said, all right, well, if you're not with us, well, then we're going to bring war upon you. We're going to try to make you submit. Okay, same thing with Iran. Iran is not with the shits when it comes to America's, you know, agenda. They don't want to be part of that. And if you look, you know, these places that they always attack are not owned by the Rothschilds. You know, they're not owned by these banking families. You see, so they'll try to bully their way through there to make them submit to them, you know. So let me just continue on. As a matter of fact, let me see, brother, put up that's right. Yep. Let me grab that. This is Jeremiah 49 and 20. It says, therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh that he has taken against Edom and his purposes that he has purposed to against the inhabitants of Teman, all right, which Teman goes into these Germans, all right, but they Edomites also. It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Yeah, because at the end of the day, the ones that really rule the world is these Amalekites, man. You know, these Khazarians, okay, which go back to being Esau. They are the ones that's running the show right now. They're the ones that's pulling the strings. These top banking families, that's what they are, man. All right, they are all small hatters at the end of the day, and you know, in biblical Edomites. So surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. And why the least of the flock? Because they are the least among all the heathen, as it tells you in Obadiah. Well, there's only one chapter, but the 2nd verse. All right, they are they are small among the heathen. They have made them small. The Lord has made them the smallest out of the heathen, right? And they're greatly despised. Okay, so most of these wars all right, have always been, activated because these small hatters out there, man, because they've been trying to take over that whole entire area for quite some time, man. All right. So surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. You see? It says Jeremiah 15:22, a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. Yeah. You see, so whether it's fake or not, all right, these are still warning signs through the spirit that the Lord is telling us what's about to happen, man. Okay. And like I said, I do believe there's certain things that's bullshit. All right. There's certain, inside jobs being done. Okay. But at the same time, war is being brewed up and stirred. Okay, to take us to the actual main war of World War III, basically known as Armageddon. All right, Jeremiah 50:23, it says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Yeah, so eventually what's going to happen is America is going to be broken down. Okay, because America is the hammer of the earth. Okay, America is the one that's, been in power for so long. All right. And everybody around the world has always been afraid of America. All right. And basically, Israel together, you see. But there's going to be a point in time where a kingdom falls, man. All right. And the scriptures talk about that. If a kingdom be divided, all right, if Satan cast out Satan, shall the kingdom not stand. So that's what's happening right now. You see, you have Satan against Satan. You have these Edomites, all right, standing up against each other. All right, so their kingdom is going to fall, and we're at that 250 year mark. All right, where empire is going to last no longer than 250 years. Okay, so the Lord is going to cut them asunder. Right, Jeremiah 15:24 says, "I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai." You see, Shalom, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. So, this is all Bible prophecy that's happening at the end of the day, man. Okay. This is Isaiah 19:2. It says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother and every one against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom." All right. And that's what you see here in America. All right, you see the division that's being brought out here, but you also see the division of these nations, of these allies, okay, being brought up. So the Lord said, what? I think not I come to bring peace upon the earth. I come not to bring peace, but a sword. All right, so sword is to use to do what? To cut. So the Lord is cutting. He dividing everything, man. All right. The Lord said, what do you say? Think not that I come to bring peace, but rather division. Okay, so division is going to be brought upon this world regardless at the end of the day. Okay, so let me finish this.
Anything of the sort. However, what we do know is that Israel has been developing nuclear weapons for a very long time. US President John F. Kennedy said that the inspection of Israeli nuclear facilities in Dimona would target Europe with the billionaire tax haven Epstein class. The idea being bandied about by client journalists is that somehow Iran would target Europe with a nuclear weapon. Iran has shown no indication of anything of the sort. However, what we do know is that Israel has been developing nuclear weapons for a very long time. US President John F. Kennedy said that the inspection of Israeli nuclear facilities in Dimona was a necessity. That didn't happen, and JFK was killed the very same year he suggested the idea. However, what does exist within military doctrine for the Israelis is something called the Samson option. It is the use of nuclear weapons against any state, anywhere, at any point. It seems that recently Israel may have carried out new nuclear tests. If anybody is crazy enough to drop nuclear weapons, it would be Benjamin Netanyahu. And of course, it was key Israel lobbyist Sheldon Adelson who argued for the dropping of nuclear weapons on Iran.
What do you mean support negotiation? What are we going to negotiate about? What I would say is Listen, you pick up your cell phone and you call somewhere in Nebraska and you say, okay, let it go. So there's an atomic weapon goes over ballistic missiles in the middle of the desert that doesn't hurt a soul. Maybe a couple of rattlesnakes and scorpions or whatever. And then you say, see, the next one is in the middle of Tehran.
Who was it that funded Donald Trump in his latest presidential election campaign? None other than Miriam Adelson, the former Israeli soldier and widow of Sheldon Adelson.
Miriam, stand up, please. She really is. I mean, she loves this country. So I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once. I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel, I must tell you. Miriam gave my campaign.
And see, with all that being said, see that's the part that will, we know through the scriptures what's going on, all right? Because the Lord reveals these things onto the servants, the prophets. But see, we're really not in these conversations that are being done behind closed doors. All right. See, that's why it can get tricky of what is this shit really going on, or is all these nations around us conspiring against us? Because when you go into, Psalms, the 83rd chapter, it speaks about how all these nations conspire against us, man. So that's the part with all these top elites. Remember, you have the Illuminati of America that's ruling the world, but you also have elites of all these other different nations, all right, that they're even against their own nations. Okay, so those are the top ones that sit at the round table and conspire together, all right, against us. This is Psalms 83, and I'll take it from 2 in the NLT. It says, don't you hear the uproar of your enemies? Don't you see that your arrogant enemies are rising up? They devise crafty schemes against your people, because at the end of the day, this whole thing is about you Israelites, man. Okay, forget about what's going on with these wars, all of that. All that is to conspire against you Israelites, because we are the ones that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Okay, we are the ones that are the multitude of the earth. Okay, we are innumerable, so we're everywhere, and all these nations have always hated us from the beginning. Okay, so it says they devise crafty schemes against your people. They conspire against your precious ones. Come, they say, let us wipe out Israel as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of its existence. Yes, this was their unanimous decision. And what happens is that because all these nations are against us at the end of the day, okay, that's why the Lord is eventually going to put them in that strong delusion, you see, and they're going to end up going to war with each other anyway, okay, because they have always been against the nation of Israel conspiring together, you see, because remember, all these nations had their hands in the cookie jar when it came to our slavery. So even though we're not in captivity under them no more, the hate is still there. Just like Esau has a perpetual hatred for us, these other nations still have a hatred for us, you see. So the Lord is actually going to stir them together in war, all right, because what they have done to his people, all right. As a matter of fact, what is that? Is that Isaiah 34 chapter? Is it Isaiah 34? Nah, hold on. It might be Joel then. The second. Hold on, give me 1 second. There's a specific part in the precept where it talks about for the things that they have done to my people. It might be, hold on, it might be Jeremiah. Hold on real quick. This is Jeremiah, what is it, 50? No. There's so many scriptures that go into bringing nuclear missiles upon America, but it's in the mix of one of them. It's just this one part, literally. Let me see if somebody brings it up. Salakia. Let me see. Nah, hold on. Give me 1 second. It's gonna click. Trying to remember where it's at. It's like on the tip of my tongue. I just can't remember which which book it's in. All right, but let me try this. This is Joel, the 3rd chapter. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. This is the one I wanted. Yep. The nations will be judged. Joel 3:1. That's where it was at. It says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity in Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather the nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." You see, so the Lord is gathering all these nations. He's going to gather them to war anyway. Why? Because of what they have done to us throughout these generations. You see, because they were always against the nation of Israel, regardless, conspiring together. So the Lord is got them, you know, in that strong delusion also, where, all right, they think that they're conspiring together. As they get together, they think they're going to be able to take us out of the name, take Israel out of the name of remembrance, right? But at the end of the day, the Lord got them in a trip bag, basically stirring them up for war, you see, because they have always been against our people, okay? And I think there's another one more that explains that. Lord willing to come to me through the Spirit. Let me see if it's right here. That's all right. But let me continue where I was at, right? So going back to... Shit, too much touching right there. Let me just go back. Psalms 83, that's where I was at. Psalms 83, and finish it off, right? On 4, it says, "Come, they say, let us wipe out Israel as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of their existence. Yes, this was their unanimous decision. They signed a treaty as allies against you," you see, and then it goes into all these different nations. Okay, so you know, as it tells you right here in where's it at? When you read it in the KJV, it says, "For they have consulted together." Okay, with one consent, they are confederate against thee. All right, so they conspire against you at the end of the day. You know, they come together. All right. Oh, that's where it says it in the 3rd chapter, 3rd verse. It says that they devise crafty schemes against you, against your people. They conspire against your precious ones. All right. To conspire, all right, is to definition of conspire. All right. To conspire, make secret plans. Okay. Jointly, to commit an unlawful or harmful act, okay? And this comes from what? Because it's secret plans. It comes from the secret, from these secret societies, okay? From these top elites of these different nations, all right? So at the end of the day, believe it or not, even though you see these nations at war with each other, the top elites of those nations are sitting at a table together and pretty much laughing, you see? Because they could care less about their own people at the end of the day, man. They all wicked as hell. All right. But the main one being what? Esau, Edom, that's the most wicked, right? So let me grab a couple of these precepts, right? This is what was it? This says Lamentations. No. Okay. Says civil war is going on all throughout the world right now. Yes, civil war is all over the place. And why is there civil war? Because these nations, even though there's civil war amongst their countries, they're all standing up against who? They're standing up against their countries. You see, they're standing up against their countries, and what they're really standing up against is the elites of these countries. Okay, because now they're realizing, like, damn, these are our own people, and they causing civil war amongst us. You see, so that's them secret societies that's ruling, man. All right. It says Lamentations 2:15. It says, excuse me, all that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Yeah, because we're a what? We're a laughing stock onto these nations, man. Because see, we're at the bottom right now. Okay, because we have nobody we have a king. All right, we have, you know, we have someone that stands up for us, which is Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, but he can't physically stand up for us right now in an actual meeting. When all these other nations conspire together against us, there's nobody there representing the nation of Israel. You see, so they have the chance to what? They laugh at us, man, because they see us that we're at the bottom. When you look at, like, in the past, like just to take for example, when you hear about Ezekiel the 28th chapter, right? The Prince of Tyrus, right? He basically was able to conquer us. Why? Because we were down and out. You see, we were already going through what we were going through. So when his mentality was at that time was that now I have them in my possession. I've taken over everything that they had. So now I can rule and reign over everybody. And that's what these nations do, man, because they see we're at the bottom and there's no one to represent us. They all have been taking, you know, advantage of us, you see. But that's why Yahweh Shai gonna return back, okay? And he gonna do what? He gonna plead with all flesh, okay? And he gonna plead with all flesh through what? Through fire, man. Because all these nations was conspiring against us at the end of the day, okay? That's the bigger picture behind everything else, all right? It ain't just okay, all these people are in war with each other, man. The Lord's bringing them to World War III to take them all out, because they were all conspiring against our people, man. All right. This is Lamentations 2:16. It says, all thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and they gnash their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the day that we looked for. We have found, we have seen it. You see, going into today, taking that advantage of us, man. All right. Because as long as the Israelites is down, everybody, someone and everybody will be ruling over us, man. Okay. And they're going to continue to try to find ways to keep us down. So, and then amongst them, they're over there fighting to see who's going to be next to take over, who's going to rule next. Okay. Because kingdoms don't last that long, man. The kingdoms are made to be built up to fall at one point. So the next one is always waiting in line, you know, to see, you know, who can rule next. Not understanding that, hey, Esau's the end of the world. You see, the Lord chose Esau to be the last one and rulership. All right. When you go into where do you call it? That's Second Ezra, the 11th chapter. All right. Let's go into that real quick. Second Ezra, the 11th chapter, verse 34, I think it is, around there. 39, right? It says, art not thou it that remainest of the four beasts whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? You see, and that's talking about that Roman Empire. All right, but right now we're in the revival of the ancient Roman Empire. So they're still in rulership. They fell, right? They were shut up for 1,000 years, and then they came back into power through the Renaissance era, and they're still ruling all the way till now. You see, so the Lord already told you that that the end of their times might come through them. You see, so it had to come through Esau for it to end. So there is no next, even though you got all these other nations trying to fight for the next power seat. All right, the Lord gonna end it with Esau being that last one. All right, that last kingdom. Okay, and then whoever's next is you already know, Yahweh Shai. All right, because the scriptures talk about how he's going to set one that is profitable over them, right? And that's Yahweh Shai. All right, and let's go to it says that shows you the power of, it says that shows you the power of the Most High, because they did exactly that, but through the Most High's will we came back to remembrance. That's right. You know, everything is through the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Even as far as all these nations, all right, standing up in war, okay, the allies of America turning against them. All right, that's what Revelations the 17th chapter, right, verse 17. It says, and yet for Yahweh has put in their hearts to fulfill His will. You see, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. All right, and you know above that talks about the 10 horns. All right, going into the allies, right? The EU, all right? The beast shall hate the whore. Excuse me, the beast shall hate the whore, okay? So at the end of the day, the focal point is what? For Yahweh has put in their hearts to fulfill His will, all right? So the Lord is what's stirring all these things up, as it tells you in 2nd Ezra, what is that, 4:37, right? It says, by measure has He measured the times, and by number has He numbered the times, and He does not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Okay, so again, it's all on the Lord's will. Okay, man's goings is of the Lord, so how can a man understand his own way? Right? You got Proverbs 21. Let's grab that real quick. Proverbs 21, and it says, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh, as the rivers of water, He turneth whithersoever He will. You see, so it's all on the Lord's time. He mustereth the host of the battle, as the scriptures say. So He put in the chess pieces where they need to be. Okay, for these last days. Okay, He's stirring up the minds of the people. You know, man has his own plan in his mind, right? But the Lord directed his steps at the end of the day. Okay, this is Jeremiah 50:10. It says, and Chaldea shall be a spoil, all that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, because you were glad, because you rejoice, O ye destroyers of mine heritage, because you are grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. Your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. You see? So because you were against the Heavenly Father the whole entire time, right? You were the ones that were destroying, okay? All you nations were trying to destroy the heritage of the Lord. This is why He's bringing you into war right now, man. Okay? Whether it be fake or real right now, all right? Eventually, all right, is going to be the true reality of all things. All right. Let me just pause right there and grab a couple of these. Let me go back into this video and I grab a couple more of those precepts. What was we at? It was at 347.
250 million. She was number one. But her husband, Sheldon, was an amazing guy. And he'd come up to the office, and there was nobody more aggressive than Sheldon. I think I spent more time with him and you. He'd call and say, can I come over, please? I say, Sheldon, I'm president of the United States. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's like maybe tomorrow. How about tomorrow? No, please, just for a little while. He'd always say 10 minutes. It turned out to be about an hour and a half. And what he did is he fought for Israel. That's all he really fought for. He just wanted to take care of Israel.
As Trump's ambassador to Israel stated recently in an interview with Tucker Carlson, the United States today could not care less if Israel takes the entire region.
Does Israel have the right to that land? It would be fine if they took it all.
Donald Trump is completely at ease with the idea that the Middle East as a region, Western Asia, is in fact an Israeli sphere of influence. So therefore, countries like Iran, Syria, Iraq, and others are simply part of Israel's backyard to this US president. And you really have to be stupid if you...
And that's why he wants to... Remember, look, China and Russia is a powerhouse over there. Those are big lands. Iran's a big land too, all right? But if they can take over the Levant, and let's just say they take over Iran, now that whole entire area becomes just as big as China, just as big as Russia. You see? They trying to knock off the little spots to turn those land into their lands, as they always have done. Esau has always done that, right? And then what he does is what he calls it by his names. He'll basically say he owns these lands once he takes over the land, all right? And now he has a more shot. They have a bigger shot of being able to control things, just like China does, just like Russia does. They'll be just as big of a mass of land as China and Russia. You see, if you could put it together, what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it's hard how I explain things. I'll be having it in a certain way in my mind, but that's what they're trying to basically do. They want to take over that whole entire land there to make themselves a bigger nation there. Because again, remember, Israel is a little ass fucking piece of land, okay, compared to these other nations around that area. All right, what helps the nation of Israel is that you have big ass America that's backing them up, and because America has the fatness of the earth, they're scattered all over the place. So now they have different angles on these different countries. Okay, but it doesn't mean that they're the bigger power. When you go into Russia and China together alone, those two together are just a massive amount of power, man. Okay, and those are top-notch heavy powers right now. Because if you really want to go blow for blow, America can't go against no Russia. America can't go against China. It's too big. It's just too big. And then both of them together, they can't be defeated. You see.
Country which has bombed almost as many states as there is days in a week across the last year has anything but sinister intentions for Iran. After 2 years of genocide on the relatively defenseless population of Gaza, after the bombing of Syria, of Yemen, of Iraq, off the coast of Malta, of Qatar, of anywhere Israel wants to bomb, you now see the jewel in the crown, the one state that has materially backed the Palestinian right to armed resistance under UN Resolution 3246, Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, several decades back, employed several CIA figures to write up for him a prognosis of what could happen in the region. Operation Clean Break. That meant splitting up large states in the region into mini statelets in order to decentralize military power from any of those places. And when you look at Iran, the fault lines that the Israelis and US government are looking at are not about building a strong state with any form of democratic protection. It is about exporting the kind of model that you're seeing working in Syria now, the splitting up of the state and the weakening of any form of central power, so that that state never again will be in a position to threaten Zionist expansion militarily.
Exactly.
Be clear, the plan is in no way for there to be prosperity in this region. It is the kind of creative chaos mapped out by Peter Thiel and Epstein in emails. This is the mentality of the billionaire tax haven Epstein class. Creative chaos for Western Asia. Trump may criticize the neocons.
This great transformation has not come from Western intervention or neocons. The so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves.
But the people that have been working for this war all of these years have been key figures in the neocon war on Iraq. United Against a Nuclear Iran even has leadership of those that served under Bush's administration and one of George Bush's own brothers in the board. That is who is pushing Trump towards this war. When you look at the Board of Peace, which has now been launched to control and watch over the potential disarmament of the Palestinian resistance in Gaza and the mass displacement of the Palestinians, essentially achieving what Israel failed to do with 2 years of genocide, you see that Donald Trump, his true face, is in clear alignment with Tony Blair and those that launched the war in Iraq. The same people that brought you the lies about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq are the same people bringing you the same lies about Iran. And Netanyahu has been doing so for decades and decades.
If Iran acquires a nuclear bomb, it could use any one of these shadowy groups to threaten the United States, threaten the West. They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb. If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year. It could be within a few months, less than a year.
Just in case you are unclear about the extent that
and that's funny because that's the same thing they said with Saddam Hussein, when you understand that. All right. And it's funny because why would that be an issue if all the nations around the world have thermonuclear missiles now anyway? Everybody has nuclear power, you see? And that's why, if you really think about it, that's why little by little, Esau trying to take over. This is why he's waging war all over the world right now, okay? He's trying to cut off resources first, and then in the mix of them taking over resources, they're trying to gain the nuclear power of these other nations also. All right, because remember, you'll have, like, let's just take Venezuela for example. Venezuela, all right, was not under their rulership. Okay, Venezuela was being protected by who? By China, being protected by Russia. Okay, and there's something more to that, you know, because of the oil. All right, you got the oil. They have 300 billion, all right, barrels of oil. All right, but then again, they have that heavy oil. All right, and you have Iran, that's also a powerhouse with oil, but that oil that they consume is different from the oil in Venezuela. The Venezuelan oil is heavy. The Iranian oil is lighter. So you actually need the two to mix together to actually make the proper oil, the proper mix of oil, you see? And that's why he's trying to, you know, that's why he took over the oil over here. All right. And by taking the oil over here, it cuts the head off from them being, you know, protected by Russia, by China, you see, because now they took over that. So now he's able to, even though they still are backing them up, even though Venezuela's backing up, Salaka, even though Russia's backing up Venezuela and so is China, they still took a piece that is a big asset to the world. You see, and that just goes back to them going to everybody's backyard and try to take everything that they own, the natural resources, going back to the fatness of the earth. All right, because when you control those things, you control the world with that. You see, so low key, Esau always just trying to control the whole entire world in the palm of his hand, because he has this NWO that he's trying to set up for the whole entire world. Okay. This new world order is based off of Esau's agenda, man. And then he has the top elites of these other nations just basically in cahoots with him. All right.
Is willing to go to in Iran internally. The Farsi channel of Israel's external intelligence agency, Mossad, published a statement. Come out to the streets together. The time has come. We are with you, not only from afar and not just in words. We are with you in the field as well. The former head of the CIA, Mike Pompeo, stated, Happy New Year to every Iranian in the streets, also to every Mossad agent walking beside them. Former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant stated that Israel should steer the movement in the streets with an invisible hand. You either support international law or you support the law of the jungle. And what you have on the side of Israel is the law of permanent genocide. The US government and the Israelis particularly are hoping to install the pretender to the throne, the son of the Shah of Iran.
And real quick, see, that goes into them being them covenant breakers, because that's one of the things that's going to make the nations mad at America and Israel, because they're actually breaking international laws. What America's doing right now, they're not supposed to be doing that, because they have laws internationally they have to abide by. But hey, leave it up to Esau. He could get two shits. You see, he gonna powerhouse everybody, and that's what's gonna make these nations even more mad. You see, so pretty much what he said is they live in. You either live in the international laws or you living in the laws of the jungle. Esau living in the laws of the jungle. Basically, he could care less. Whatever goes basically with Esau, because he gonna give you a bunch of peace deals, right? But what does he always do with his peace deals? All right, he breaks them. Okay, that's why the scriptures say you never trust thine enemy. You cannot trust this nigga. Okay, matter of fact, you can't trust none of these nations. But shit, I'd rather trust one of these nations before Esau. Okay, because Esau's always been the one that's a liar, right? The wicked is estranged from the womb. As soon as they be born, they speak lies. Okay, so whatever it comes out of his mouth is mischief, is deceit. He doesn't actually mean it. All right. As a matter of fact, the scriptures say in what's that, in Ecclesiasticus, where it says to whom he will do good. Let me grab that real quick. He that hateth himself, to whom shall he do good? KJV. He that hateth himself, to whom shall he do good? KJV. Ecclesiasticus 14 and 7, it says,
it comes from Ecclesiasticus chapter 14, verse 5. It warns that those who are unkind to themselves.
This is 14 and 5. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. And that's Esau. There is none worse than he that envieth himself. And this is a recompense of his wickedness. If he does good, he do it unwillingly, you see, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. So this nigga can never be trusted. He don't even trust himself, man. You talk about a man that gave up his birthright, okay? A man that gave up, that gave wicked sacrifices unto the Heavenly Father, man, okay? A man that's been murdering his brother, all right, as a perpetual hatred since the beginning of time, you see? A man that has been chosen, as it tells you in Revelations, the 6th chapter, right, to take peace from the earth, that they should kill themselves, that they should kill one another, man. And he was given a great sword, you see. That's why you don't trust this damn devil, man. That's what I mean. Like, forget these other nations. I could care less about them neither. But I'd rather trust a damn other nation, all right, when it comes to them or Esau, which none of them could be, you know, trusted at the end of the day. They're against us, but I'm using it as a metaphor at the moment. All right. Esau can never be trusted in anything he fucking does, man. Because he don't even care about his own kind. Okay. Scriptures say that he's not a keeper at home. All right. His desire is what? Hell and death. And he cannot be satisfied with bloodshed, man. So he gonna always take it to the next level. All right.
Who is advising him? None other than Parviz Sabeti, the torturer who, under the Shah before, headed up the 3rd Directorate of the SAVAK.
The CIA helped the Shah set up SAVAK, the secret police force that has tortured so many thousands of them. A classified Senate Foreign Relations Committee report confirms the CIA's role in forming SAVAK. It says the CIA provided the Shah money as well as training for that purpose. Of course, the brutality came later.
Parviz Sabeti tortured and killed many and is subject to a $225 million lawsuit for these human rights violations in the United States. The idea, of course, that the United States does this with the best interest of Iranian people at heart belongs clearly in the colonial encyclopedia of crimes, along with the democratic wishes of the Iraqis, of the Afghans, of the Vietnamese, and of any other victim that the United States chooses at that time. In fact, US and EU sanctions are believed to have killed 38 million people across the global south since 1970.
Yeah, and when you go into those countries, they all fucking Edomite countries, man.
In political systems which are subject to US sanctions. And today you have no more sanctioned state than Iran. Iran's GDP per capita dropped from over $8,000 in 2012 to just over $4,000 in 2026. You don't have to support the Iranian government to oppose the overthrowing of it by a foreign power and the plunging of an ancient civilization into chaos. If any state in the world looks at the trajectory of those that relinquish their weapons programs to gain proximity to the West, they would look at Libya, see Tony Blair's handshake in the desert, and then what happened. They would also look at North Korea and see Donald Trump's meeting with the leader there. The lesson here is if you cease your weapons development to please the West, you will be overthrown. if you keep your weapons, you have some degree of safety. After the 12-day war between Iran and Israel, Turkey began building two things: underground bomb shelters and ballistic missiles. Because, as Naftali Bennett and Netanyahu alluded to, Turkey is next on the menu. This war will alienate US allies in the region because they are first in the line of fire. And of course, as Iran has demonstrated, it can respond from 1,000 miles away with surface-to-air ballistic missiles that will strike all US bases in the region. The Strait of Hormuz will be closed. US oil platforms will be destroyed.
And that, you see that right, that happened already. That just happened. I think it was yesterday. They closed that for the first time. So now that stops 20% of the oil flow throughout the world. That's why America about to be in trouble, because now the prices are going to skyrocket over here with gas prices. All right. Now that stops the flow of China. Okay. Now that's why we're about to go into a great famine. Okay. Because now, with this being stopped, all right, now China definitely don't want to deal with us, because I did a video on that yesterday, how by you stopping what's going on at the Hormuz, right, now what happens is it puts China into a collapse in their society, you see, because now they got to go into reserves, oil reserves. Actually puts a stop to it puts a collapse into a lot of other countries, because they're all going to go into their reserves of oil. Okay. So now it makes everything skyrocket in those countries, you see. And now what happens is now China going to cut off completely America. Okay. Regardless of fucking tariffs or any of that, they just not going to mess with China no more. And we get everything that is brought here is made in China. You see, so now everything gets cut off completely. All right. Even though we got our own product, right? We already know that the product that Bill Gates and all them have here is made and designed to destroy you. It's made to depopulate you, basically. Okay. Because even though China has, GMOs and, their food is not as good, shit, at least is better than what the hell this devil's feeding us. This devil's feeding us 3D printed meat, cannibalistic meat. Okay. The resources that we were getting everything from come from these other countries, man. So by them stopping that Hormuz now, it is a wrap. It's a wrap. Watch how everything within in the next 2 weeks, it starts going up little by little. And about a month from now, shit is going to be all over the place, man. People going to be in a frenzy, and people already in a frenzy because of what's going on here in America. Because again, America got the whole world on edge right now, especially their own backyard. Okay.
Of the United States can survive a war with Iran. This is why war in Iran will be far harder than they thought it would. You have to remember that Iran has deep connections to both China and Russia. There is Russian military present in Iran, and they have the strategic, comprehensive partnership with China.
And that's Ezekiel 38 chapter, because they are a guard onto Iran. Okay. They are a guard onto Persia, as it tells you. Okay. So that makes them even that much stronger. You see, that's why in all reality, okay, America didn't want the sauce with Iran. It's the least of the flock, like the brother had put up, right? It's the least of the flock that's drawing everybody out, okay? Because they the ones that run everything in the world, basically. So they have the power, all right, to basically, make things happen, okay? To the point where they draw in America, and then America draws in their allies, you see? And even the allies don't want no sauce with no Iran, no China, no Russia. Okay, you talking about 3 powerhouses, man. Those are 3 big ass powerhouses right there that are dangerous, armed and dangerous at that. Okay, China's one of the most biggest places on planet Earth. All right, and their technology is far more advanced than anybody on the planet Earth right now, because they have, like it tells you in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, they always have desire to be like Babylon the Great. All right, so Babylon the Great All right. America was that powerhouse that was ruling at one point. Okay. But they already advanced their technology, right? And then you have Russia, that the Lord has revived that Soviet Union spirit back into them. Okay, so everybody's ready for war, man, except America. Donald Trump ready for war. All right, but do you actually think that the people that are in these militaries are ready for war? Hell no. Look how weak America is. Look how effeminate the military is. This shit filled with women. You know, a bunch of women. The men are acting like fucking females. You see? They're not like back in the day. America had actual men going to war. Okay? That's not like that no more. Okay? You just got a bunch of clowns that just joined the war. All right? A bunch of jakes that joined the war for a paycheck, man. They don't know two shits about actual war. Okay? And leave it up to Esau to put you jakes on the front line to serve his bullshit, when you should be actually letting these elites. This is the elites wars. You see, you should be letting the elites fight their own wars. But they got Jake out there entertained with paychecks, all right, promising you things that's not going to be given to you, all right. And that's why you have people always being recruited for the you know, the army, all right, and not knowing what they're really involved with. And you know, there's a whole bunch of videos going viral right now showing that people thought they were just going to be it was going to be a walk in the park to join the military for America, but until that, you got to go to war. Until your ass get called, and you got to go to war, man. Then people get in that panic mode. They're like, "Oh shit, I got to go to war." Then they realize it ain't as it seems, man. You see, and that's the scripture where it tells you what in Proverbs: "He that boasts himself of a gift, a false gift, right, is like clouds without rain." See, you expecting a certain outcome with these things, man. But then after all, you realize that it wasn't what it seemed, man. See, that's why you can't trust your enemy. There's about 2 minutes left on this thing.
Plan of tens of billions being directly invested into the Iranian economy by China across the coming decade. Will China and Russia allow Iran to fall? That is the question here. It is easily foreseeable that this war could spiral out of the control of Western powers, and that we could be on the precipice of World War III. And so, let me reiterate and ask you again, are you really willing to die for the pedophile president captured by Epstein's Israel? Ultimately, powerful forces are at perpetual war.
That's right, powerful forces.
To happen,
real forces is at war right now. That was it. That was the end of it. Real countries is at war, man. All right. I don't consider America a real country for war anymore, man. As a matter of fact, it tells you that. Let's grab that in the 50th chapter. That's been coming out through the Spirit a lot. This is Jeremiah 50. And what's that at? This is 50 and what is that? Slovakia. Am I passing right by this shit? Oh, here we go. This is no, that's not it. My bad. Hold on. It's here. It's just I'm passing right by that shit. This is 50. What the hell? Or is it 51? Give me 1 second, Salakia. I'm tripping because I keep looking on the MLT side. Jeremiah 50. And I'm passing right by it. I know I'm passing right by it. I'm tripping right now. Salakia. Oh, it's 51. That's why I'm tripping. It's 51. Salakia. This is Jeremiah 51 and 30. It says I'll take it from 28. It says, prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble and sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon. You see, every purpose, all right, is performed against Babylon. So everything that's happening is at the end for the purpose of Babylon. You see, is to destroy Babylon at the end of the day. So the Lord is making strategic ass moves on his chessboard, all right, careful moves, all right, to just put America in checkmate, man. Okay. It says, performed against Babylon to make the land of Babylon a desolate without an inhabitant, a desolation without an inhabitant. The mighty men, okay, of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds, you see. So they really don't want to fight, man. Why? Because none of them is true warriors. Okay. America don't have that true warrior spirit no more. Okay. It's all about technology with them. Oh, I got the biggest technology. I got the greatest defense system. I got this, I got that. Yeah, but the ones that are handling these machines, right? These devices, man, they not true warriors of war, man. All right, but if you look at all these other nations, shit, they're prepared for war. They've been preparing for war. Like we in the beginning of that video, he said this has been going on for the past 5 years that Iran's been preparing for this. You see, you go to these countries, man, you got little kids at the age of 5 breaking bricks on their forehead, man. All right, because they really about that war spirit. All right, and ultimately it's from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, because Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah is a man of war, as it tells you in Exodus the 15th chapter. It says the mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. Okay, NLT says her mightiest warriors no longer fight. You see, there's no warriors no more, man. They stay in their barracks, their courage gone. You see, they have become like women. The invaders have burned the houses and broken down the city gates, you see. So they have become like onto women, you know. The Lord has made America weak and basically bitched them down, man, at the end of the day. All right. This is Jeremiah 50 and 13. He says, because of the wrath of the Lord Yahweh, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at her plagues. Zechariah 1 and 15, it says, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. You see, they always were right there helping, all right, each other, basically try to bring our people down, man, and keep us down. Psalms 49 and 11, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Okay. Yeah. They think that they're going to continue to rule forever and never be brought down. All right. As as the Lord says in Isaiah the 40, what is that? Let me grab that real quick. Isaiah 47 chapter, right? 7. It says, thou hast said, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither did remember the latter end of it. You see, and what's going to happen? All right, in 1 hour, all right, the Lord going to destroy this place. All right, the Lord going to bring what? You know, the loss of children, the widowhood upon America, Babylon the Great. All right, this is Psalm 64 and 2. It says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. All right, yeah, they're conspiring in secret. Excuse me. It says, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows, all right, to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. This is Job 5 and 14. They meet with darkness in the daytime, and they grope in the noonday as in the night. Okay, yeah, everything's done behind closed doors. all right, what we can't see. See, we understand these things because we have the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. You know, we've been given the secrets of the Heavenly Father, as the Lord said, right? Surely I will do nothing but reveal my secrets unto the servants, the prophets. Okay, so we know these because of these scriptures. We know the hearts and the intents of the mind of Esau, all right? Because this truth is what? Is a two-edged sword, you see? Zephaniah 2:1, gather yourselves together, yet gather together, O nation not desired. Before the decree, bring forth, before the day pass, as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. Okay. And at the end of the day, you know, that's to our people, man. We have to seek the Lord while he may be found, because the prudent man foreseeth the evil and he hideth himself with what? With these scriptures, you see. And even if these niggas, see, even these heathens, there ain't no salvation for them. The Lord is against them. But see, if they would have treated, okay, our people in a correct manner, you know, the Lord, not that he gonna have mercy on them, all right, but that judgment will be eased, let's just say. You know, but that's not the case, man, because they were always conspiring against us in a certain manner, you see. They're not supposed to take advantage of us when we're already down and out. And that's what they've always done, you see. This is Isaiah 13:17. It says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, all right, which is the Russians, right? It says, Gog and Magog, and which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows shall dash their young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children, all right? And they're not, okay? Because they're going to end up eventually having that evil thought, all right, in the midst of war, okay, after pretty much destroying Israel, according to Ezekiel the 38th chapter, all right, they're going to end up destroying Israel, all right, and then the Lord going to put the evil thought for them to go steadfast to what? To Babylon the Great, to the place of unwalled, to the city of unwalled villages, all right. Why? Because America has no protection. They're scattered throughout the whole earth right now, bringing out war with everybody, so they can't even protect their own backyard. You see, that's why you're gonna have an inside job here with these Muslims up in here, with these Iranians, these turban ass niggas out here. Okay, these sleeper cells that been sitting in here for years now. Okay, that own all these damn gas stations. That's why there's gonna be a lot of shit going on this side, man, while they're out there in war, because they're unprotected. They rely on their defense system, which when the time comes for the missiles to hit, they're not going to break their ranks. Okay, they're not going to be able to they're not going to thrust one another, as the scriptures say. All right, and as a matter of fact, with the shit that's going on with Iran and Israel right now, you can see that their Iron Dome, all right, is not even protecting them to the best of their ability. This Iron Dome was supposed to be just this great place, I mean, this great defense system that nothing could penetrate through. Shit, we see all the time missiles being penetrated through that, man, showing you that the spirit of the Lord, all right, is in each and one of the missiles, and when it has to hit something, it's going to hit wherever it needs to hit. All right, so you can't stop the wrath of the Lord. Isaiah 13:19, and Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' excellency shall be as when Yahweh, all right, overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, you know, and really going into them angels, man, because the angels overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, it says Isaiah 13:20, it says, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in the generation to generation. Okay, dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. All right, yeah, this place is going to be annihilated. All right, from generation to generation is going to be smoke. All right, that goes up. All right, meaning for a very long time until that fire burns out on its own. Like when you actually make a barbecue, or you take a fire pit and you put wood in it, you know, and you're done for the day, and you just leave it there, and it just has ambers and it burns out on its own. But even when you're done, it's still burning for a couple of hours. So it basically goes out on its own. That's how America is going to be. But it's going to be for a very long time, because it's going to be a lake of fire. You talking about thermonuclear missiles mixed with elements, mixed with the fire of these concentrated laser beams from the chariots. Man, that's going to be a fire that's going to be for a long, long, long time, man. And it's going to take a while for it to actually burn out. Okay. Micah 2:2, it says, and they have covered fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, and even a man in his heritage. Yeah. And that's for you, Jakes. They've always oppressed you and your heritage to the point where they have stolen your heritage, man. But they also go to these other nations and oppress them also, man, and take their heritage, take their cultures. Because Esau's a culture vulture. He's a wanderer, right? He's a vagabond and a fugitive. So a vagabond is someone that has no home, someone that has no culture. So he goes to everybody else's backyard because he has the fatness of the earth as a blessing, right? And he takes your culture, he takes your land and calls it his own, you see, and says that it's his. And that's the power that the Lord gave him. Habakkuk 2:5, yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death and cannot be satisfied. All right. Russia has the largest nuclear arsenal in the world and has the most powerful nuclear weapons. Yeah, that's why Russia is going to be the one that pretty much annihilates. All right. All these countries are going to annihilate America together. But the main one that's going to annihilate it with the most is going to be Russia. They have the most thermonuclear power, man. They got, I think, what is it? Let me see how much it is. I think it's up in like, it might be more than 8,000. I think it's around there, though. How many nuclear missiles does Russia have right now? Might be more than that.
Russia currently has an estimated 5,400.
Oh, 5,000. I thought it was more than that. I thought it was around 8,000 for some reason.
Around 1,700 to 1,720 of these are actively deployed on missiles and at bomber bases, which is their strategic arsenal.
Yeah, so you're talking about 55, let's just round it off, 5,500, all right, nuclear missiles, man. And each missile could turn into 100 missiles. See, that's why the scriptures tell you in Revelations, the 9th chapter, that this place is going to be hit with 200 million missiles, man. Okay, because one missile can turn into 160 missiles, you know, depending on how, you know, that one was created. Okay, but you talking about, man, 5,500 missiles. All right, and imagine each of them, all right, having, you know, turning into 100 missiles, man, little missiles. And then all these other nations that have their amount of missiles. You see, that's why it's going to be so many missiles that hit America. All right. This is but gather. Oh, yeah, I didn't finish that. That was in Habakkuk 2:5. But gathereth unto himself all nations and heapeth unto him all people. And how's he going to do that? All right. By the way of this technology, man, this NWO. All right. Which, you know, I coined this year, 2026, the year of the NWO, all right, and technology, okay, and that's exactly what you're seeing being played out right now is the NWO. It is a fight for this new world order to be brought into play, okay, and this is why we know that the microchip, right, is about to be presented and made mandatory, because look what's being stirred up in war, okay. The closer we get to, the more War 3 gets intensified, is the closer that we are to the microchip being made mandatory. Okay. And this shit is so intensified right now with all these different nations having their own fights. Because you had what's the other ones that just joined that are fighting against y'all, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Okay. You have in the top along with this war that's going on with Russia, with Iran and United States and Israel, you have all these other little wars that's been going on all over too. Okay. So as the scriptures say, there will be wars and rumors of war, but the end is not yet. All right. Everything's just being stirred up for the end. This is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. You can't escape the judgment of the Lord. All right. You got people trying to leave America right now, go to these other countries. You're not going to be able to escape the judgment of the Lord, man. All right. The Lord coming to plead with all flesh. OK, with fire. All right. He coming to bring judgment upon everybody execute judgment upon all the heathen. All right. He coming to execute judgment on the house of Israel first, his people first. And then after his people, all right, how much more these damn heathens, man? You see? Because he going to come and execute judgment on his people first. All right. Save the elect. All right. And we're the Lord's chosen people, right? We're his chosen generation, his peculiar treasure, right? And what you think he going to do to the rest of you heathens that's out there? You think he just going to let you slide? Nah. Right after he done with us, he going to bring all of y'all down to you. You're going to have to bow down to the slaughter, as the scriptures say. You see? This is Psalms 55 and 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Okay, and that goes into the time when Esau came to Gad. All right, but hey, we use that today with just everything in general, because that's what this devil always conjuring, man. He's speaking sweetly with his lips, but he imagined how to throw thee into a pit. You see, he always has a certain agenda behind what he's doing. Okay, so he gonna come to you speaking, you know, good and speaking peace. All right, but as the scriptures say, his tongue frameth deceit. So he really deceiving you, man, because he really wants to bring war upon the world. 2 Ezra 6 and 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Yeah. Why? Because what's going on right now, all this is going on, and this being the Hormuz being blocked off, that's going to bring famine to this place, man. Okay. So they ain't going to be what you see on the shelves right now. It's not going to be here possibly in 2 months. It's not going to be there in possibly 2 months, man. Okay. Believe it or not, just because you're still able to go to the store and grab something doesn't mean that we're already, all right, in the process of famine. We've been in the process of famine, man. Exports and imports is no longer how it used to be. Okay. That's why Kill Gates is basically feeding you his meat, feeding you his products. All right. And it's just being 3D printed day by day. Okay, who the hell knows what the hell it's made of? When you 3D print something, that's a bunch of different materials being brought together to make something, man. If you ever see how these 3D printing machines are used, go look that shit up on Google, how 3D printing is used, man. That shit is wild. You can do anything with a 3D printer. I can make, with the same 3D printer I just made a piece of meat, I could build a house with that shit. So go figure how they can just use different types of, you know, materials and chemicals to just build something, make something, right? This is 2 Ezra 16 and 21. Behold, victual shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Yeah, so victuals going into foods, but victuals also goes into your everyday necessities, man, the things you need the most, food, water, you know, your gasoline, things that you rely on to basically exist, okay? These things are going to go cheap at one point. You're going to still be able to get them. But while these things are still being able to be bought and get your hands on them, evils is growing upon the earth, man. Confusion is being stirred around you, you see? And that's why when this thing happens and all hell breaks loose at once and everything happens simultaneously, it's going to bring even more confusion to you. Why? Because you don't have the knowledge and wisdom and understanding to be stabilized, man, because knowledge and wisdom is the stability of thy times, man. See, we already been preparing ourselves to lose everything here, count everything as dung, that we may win the knowledge of the Heavenly Father, right? Of Yahweh Shai. So we've been counting everything as dung, all right? Because we know that we're going to lose everything at the end of the day anyway. But we're going to gain the knowledge. We're going to gain salvation through losing everything here, all right? 2 Ezra 15 and 30 says, also the Carmenians raging in wrath, and that's what you see happening right now. These Persians, these modern day Iranians, all right, they're raging in wrath, all right. Whether this shit that the guy that just killed, what's his name? The fuck was his name? These damn heathen ass names. But they had the little leader that just got killed. Okay. Let me see. What's the hell's his name? What's the name of the leader of Iran that just got killed? What the hell's his name? Yeah, that's what it is. Khamenei. Yeah, Khamenei, whatever his name is. All right. That right there, if that is legit, okay, Well, then that's just going to have these people raging in wrath, man. And it's going to bring them back to their normal nature. Okay. You're going to have all these, you know, Muslim countries to, you know, turn to each other, all right, and conspire against America, against the land of the Assyrians, man. They're going to all join together, all right, and they're going to try to come up with a way to destroy, waste a portion of the land, as the scriptures say, right? Raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power, and shall come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, man. All right, Jeremiah 51:30. And it says, the mighty warriors of Babylon have seized the fight. You see, they remain. Oh, that was what I was grabbing. He grabbed it from the AMP, the water. They'd be hitting in the AMP too lately. The mighty warriors of Babylon have ceased to fight. They remain in their strongholds. Their strength and power have failed. They are becoming weak and helpless like women. You see, they weak. They're weaker than the ever. Man, America's been the weakest that you ever seen America. There's no such thing as strength. Okay. The only power that they have is basically their elites and just their weapons. All right. Because that's what's holding them together, because he has the fatness of the earth and the blessing of the sword. The sword is what's holding America together. All right. But once that sword is useless, they're done for, because all these devils have been weakened, man. They not true men. All right. 50:9 in Jeremiah, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as the mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. You see? Exactly. All right. You're going to have Russia and all these other nations. They're round about her right now, ready for war. All right. The Lord is getting his archers, all right, which is basically these missile silos. All right. He's getting them ready to be launched from one end of the earth to another. Okay. And that's why we tell you every day, it is beautiful times that we're in right now. You know, it must be even more beautiful times for the elders and apostles, man. They've been telling you this for 40 plus years. And look, it's finally coming to the light, you see? And then anybody else that's been in this truth for years, even down to the ones that just started, man, that just finally got woken up. You know, it's exciting times for them because knowledge is being increased for them anyway. So, you know, through the spirit, they feeling what's going on, man. And we see that the Lord is doing his works. Let's grab that. What is that? I think it's Psalms 119. I will watch the Lord work. I believe it goes into 119. Let me see, will work. If it comes up like that. I know it's in Psalms. Do work. Nah. The Lord will work. KJV Psalms. Where's that at?
Many King James Version songs and worship videos explore the Lord's work and power,
That's
drawing
why
from
that shit
verses
came
like
out
1
Psalms.
Corinthians and Colossians.
Like if it didn't
These
understand what I
often
was
feature
saying.
themes of God's strength, as seen in Psalm chapter 111.
Psalms 119 and 126. I knew it was in 119. This is Psalms 119 and 26. No, that's not it. The hell is they talking about? Psalms 119. Oh, 126. Salakia. 126. Yep, that's it. It is time for thee, Lord Yahweh, to work, for they have made void thy law. So the Lord is at work right now. The Lord is doing what he do best, being a man of war, you see? And that's why the Lord is greatly to be feared right now more than ever, especially if you're a so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, man, because the Lord not playing right now, man. The Lord is turning this place up, turning this place inside out, man, and he's getting it ready for destruction, you see? He ready to burn this place up here in America, all right, and bring the true great reset, all right, the true new order, okay? Because once this place, you know, as it tells you, and I'll leave it with this, 2 Peter 3:9, and it reads, it says, the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. And meaning who? All Israelites, man, because that's who this word is given to. All right. He has not dealt so with any other nations, man. All right. He established a word in Jacob, a testimony in Israel, man. All right. So that's who the Lord is here for. All right. As it tells you in Romans, the 9th chapter. OK, to whom pertained the adoption. All right. Who are the Israelites to whom pertained the adoption? All right. The giving of the law, the service of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, it's the Israelites. All right. It says, but the day of the Lord, Yahweh Shai, will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. All right. The elements going into, you know, the elements are going to be resetted. You know, the actual elements that you have on a periodic table, but elements also going into the things of the world, man, the things that we possess, all this shit. That's why you shouldn't, the Lord's been getting us ready to let go of things for a reason, man. So you don't look back at the things of this world. So you don't become Lot's wife. You see, Lot's wife looked back for what? Because she was missing something in Sodom and Gomorrah. Like if her ass left her purse or some shit, you know. Nah, the Lord wants you to forget about everything here, man. As the scriptures tell you in, let me grab that real quick. That's Philippians. This is Philippians 3 and 12. Not as though I already, actually, I'll just go straight to the point. 13. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. You see, so we're setting our affections on the things above. All right, as the scriptures say, you know, where your heart is, that's where your treasure will be. You see, so you got to keep your mind on the things, focused on the things above. All right, on the things to come, which is this kingdom. Okay, seek ye the kingdom first, and these things shall be added on to you. All right, so we're always seeking for the kingdom. We're always waiting, you know, making haste onto Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, that we see this new heaven and this new earth where there dwelleth in righteousness. That's what we want. Okay, so it says 2 Peter 3 and 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works therein shall be burnt up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? All right, and that's what we're supposed to be doing, man. The work of the Lord, man. All right. Without faith, it is impossible to please him. And with faith comes works. So we're supposed to be doing the works of the Heavenly Father to please him. All right, so he can continue to boost us in faith. All right, and we'll have that faith when the time comes of the end, you see. So we need that. All right, we need all the boost you can have of faith in these last days, because by faith is how you're going to be saved, man. Okay, so it says, looking for and hasten on to the coming of the day of Yahweh, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved. Okay, and it says God here, and really what we're waiting for is the Elohim, because the Elohim is about to come with Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai going to come with 10,000 of the saints, right, to beam up those, all right, in the strangeness of their salvation, right? So that's what we're really waiting for. Wherein the heavens shall be on fire, where the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. You see? Wherefore, beloved, seeing that you look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless. Okay? You see? So we're going to continue to give diligence to make your election and calling sure, man. You should be going harder than you've ever gone in your entire life right now. No stopping. There's no such thing I can ever go far enough when it comes to the Heavenly Father, man. All right. The Lord said in Ecclesiasticus 43, all right, and 31, 30, when you glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as you can, for even yet will he far exceed. And when you exalt him, put forth all your strength and be not weary, for you can never go far enough. You see? So there's no such thing as I did enough for the Lord, man. You should be fighting for your crown like there's no tomorrow. You see, like that's the last crown on that table right there. That's why the Lord said you're in a race and you got to run. You see, you got to run in that race. Okay, and we're at that last stretch. So you've been pacing yourself this whole time, all these years. Well, now's the time to that last stretch, run it all out, you see, and run as hard as you can for that crown, because we are at the end of this thing, man. This thing could creep up on you any single day. All right. It tells you in Proverbs, what is that? 27. All right. Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. You see, so you don't know what can happen tomorrow, man. You see, so because we don't know, right, we have to stay ready. So we ain't got to get ready, right? Because if the good man will watch and will watch, the thief will come, right? Then you will not suffer your house to be broken up. You see, so we have to make sure that we're constantly in diligence in these last days, man, more than ever. You know, it's brothers say it all the time. You either go hard or go home, man. There's no half-ass. There's no, I'm going to take a couple days off. Nah, this is a everyday thing as much as you can, man. Because you have to lock in that spot. We have to lock our spirit in more than ever. Okay, because like I said, you could wake up tomorrow and your fucking bank account is wiped out. You could wake up tomorrow, you try to turn on your damn stove to make some damn food. All right, which you shouldn't, because it's the Sabbath anyway. But I'm saying you turn on your stove to make some damn breakfast and that shit ain't working because the power out. And just because the daylight is out, you don't even realize that your power's out, man. Go to turn on your light or something, it doesn't work. You thinking that there's something wrong with you. Nah, man, anything can happen at any given time at this moment, okay? Because we're expecting cyber attacks, all of that. So we have to go harder than we've ever gone for that crown. As the Lord said, all right, hold that fast that thou hast, that no man snatch thy crown, man, okay? Don't let the reverence of a man cause you to fall. All right. Stay girded up with prayer and fasting. Make no provision for the flesh. You know, remember that, you know, we're fighting against spiritual wickedness in high places, against the rulers of darkness, you know. So there's a whole bunch of shit that's here to distract us. And we're supposed to be in the spirit of not being distracted, man. Attend to the Lord without distraction. So I'm going to leave it there through the spirit. Lord willing, you will edify. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachakudash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquat that was listening in. Yahweh Rakazah, Lord willing, that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith and doing as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. And keep your prayers up, and may Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai be with you and your households. The water for tuning in, the water for the scriptures. Shalom.